Okay, we're recording. As always, if you'd like to introduce yourself, go ahead and drop an intro in the chat, your name, where you're from, um, anything else you like to include in a decent introduction. Uh, we got 10 people tonight at the moment, so maybe y'all know each other pretty well already. But feel free to discuss and mingle in the chat as we go through some updates. There's another. Um, I will share my screen. So welcome everyone. Reminder, we are recording and we do generally post these to YouTube for those who can't make it. So thanks for being here. Um, this is our monthly All Hands series uh, and we're trying to get better about recording our meetings and posting them to YouTube. I believe we are nearly caught up, but you should be able to catch our past All Hands meetings there as well as other stuff, including some great videos Thomas has been doing. And in fact, I didn't put it in the slides, I realized, but if we have some time, maybe we'll watch one or two of those. But for now, just a reminder to subscribe to our YouTube. It's a great way to keep up with what's going on. We also have a newsletter, and there's lots of ways to stay in touch with us. We're on social media. Um, but the full sort of unabridged videos, maybe slightly abridged, tend to be on YouTube. Um, for those who are still being familiarized with Whole Washington, we're a 501c4 nonprofit. Our universal health care proposal for Washington is called the Washington Health Trust, and currently it's the only universal health care bill in the legislature. We are the largest universal health care group in Washington and the only one that is actively building towards a ballot initiative campaign. But we are in a coalition in solidarity with over 44 other member organizations called Healthcare is a Human Right Washington. So you can go ahead and connect with other people and other orgs in the broader landscape of the movement there. Um, but for our spaces, we do have a code of conduct. It's at wholewashington.org/conduct. Um, and we do ask that everyone signs it when they get a chance. Signing is optional, but following it isn't. So please just take a look, familiarize yourself with it, and try your best to play nice with others. Thank you. Quick intro for myself. I'm the executive director of Whole Washington. I live in Seattle near Green Lake. You can email me, andre@wholewashington.org, or set up a one-on-one with me using that cal.com link. Please don't be shy about it. I try to be as available as I can to everyone out there trying to do work. It's my job to support the movement and support the volunteers. Okay, so want to just call out a few things coming up this month. We have a new volunteer orientation on June 12th. So if you haven't been to one of those yet or you want to support, please attend. That's a virtual orientation, so anyone can. And I know we've had some new volunteer signups, so we wanted to make sure that there was an orientation on the calendar for them to attend. We're going to be tabling at Pride events this summer, and to some extent that's dependent on who's available to organize and make them happen. But June 14th, we'll be tabling at Spokane Pride, um, and potentially more across the state. But that's the one that's on the calendar right now. June 16th, we are doing a virtual screening of Power to Heal, which, if you haven't seen it before, is a wonderful documentary about the passage of Medicare and the role that it played in desegregating the United States hospital system. So there's a lot of powerful lessons to be learned through that history. And then on June 19th, the third Thursday of the month, we have our monthly board of directors meeting, especially those who are interested in being more involved at a strategic level, and really getting involved in the sort of important decisions being made at Whole Washington. You're always welcome to join the board of directors meeting, get to know the people who make some of these decisions, and the latest that's going on. So if you're going deeper, feel free to attend board of directors meetings. They're open to everyone. Uh, I did want to call out, because I think a lot of people may not yet be aware that our goal is to make it as easy as possible for you in your community to take action. And so, yes, we try to keep our event calendar with lots of stuff going on. We try to organize these as much as possible. We try to support what's going on the ground. But you are welcome to be a part of this. So if you go to our event calendar, you might see this host event button. That's one way to get there. Or you can go to wholewashington.org/host. And there's an online forum there. So really, you can start to work through what your idea is, whether it's a local festival or something where you think we should be tabling, or a town hall that you want to do at a local library. Um, Start to figure out the details as you fill out this form. I just want to say that while we, as much as possible, want to enable these things, want to help you promote them and get people out to them, give you everything you need to organize it. Um, we also may decline some of these requests based on what our organizing capacity is. If there's a lot of stuff scheduled on the calendar for a certain time. So it's not a guarantee, but if you work with us, I'm sure that we can get an event scheduled um, with you. And one thing I want to say is when you do this, I think it's important that you recognize that at some level, uh, submitting it means that you're committing to bottom lining this event to some extent. Doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. Whole Washington has a robust network of volunteers who can support these things. And in general, that's what we want to do. But they tend to need somebody who can kind of be identified as like the main organizer, you know. And if you're submitting it, we're going to expect that unless you can suggest that someone else would do it, or we can figure that out together. Um, but uh, but we know that we want to be everywhere. And so we can't really be submitting events in a, well, it would be great if we were there. We agree. It's just that we need to make sure that these are going to be successful. So we're trying to make these well planned, well promoted so that we pull them off. So let's try our best to be everywhere this summer. There is lots to do. It's still early. And Whole Washington really needs to be seen. But in order for these to succeed, they require planning, promotion, and execution. And so let's take it slow. Maybe don't do a giant thing for your first one, um, and give these things some time. You know, make sure you plan them far enough ahead in the future that we can get it on the calendar, and figure out all the details. Don't get too ahead of overcommitting before you're ready to actually see it through. So. Just wanted to make sure people are aware of that and give the sort of cautious permission to use it.
Can I
It
make
is available.
can I make a comment?
Sure.
Yeah, unfortunately that form is not working at the moment. They're putting just putting two spam checks on it, and if you click them both, it doesn't work. So I've contacted Events Calendar about it, and they said that they knew about the problem and they're working on it, but I haven't heard back from them, so there's a problem there.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Rob. Technical difficulties aside, we are still available to try to plan events, and there may be times where we have to work around technology challenges or limitations. But um, if you're trying to get an event scheduled, just be vocal about it. You know, reach out for support, talk about it in Slack, and we can still do events. So this is sort of the
If you
intended process.
In the meantime, you could post them on in the website channel. Just tag me if possible. But even if you don't tag, I check the Slack every day, so you can just post events there if you want.
Excellent. And that brings me to this next slide. So a few things that we are recruiting support for, if this is the sort of thing that interests you. Um, Event planners. So every event I think needs a main planner, but that doesn't mean that we can't have supporting planners in Slack and across Washington State who can just help to make sure that these logistics work out. One second. Sorry, cat issue. Um, anyway, so people to help with event planning and to really work out a process. You know, it gets on the calendar, it gets sent out in an email, just running us through a checklist to make sure that these events work out. Um, a calendar manager, somebody who's very mindful of the dates that we have coming up and seeing that they are reflected on the website and the data is accurate, all of that. And then other general website support. We're in WordPress. So if you have experience with WordPress or just web experience in general or are willing to learn, uh, there are a lot of pages that just need regular updates to keep them up to date. And a few people to help with that would be fantastic. So, first call to action of the night is if any of those are interesting to you, please go ahead and say something in the chat. And there may be time to talk about it later. But I'm going to move to the next set of updates for now. Um, Data team, I left this slide in here because I wanted to make sure data team had the opportunity to present. Does anyone here have updates from the data team or on behalf of the data team?
I thought they had a meeting coming up on Friday.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So data team meets on the first Friday of the month. I was incorrect when I said next meeting in early July. Yes, the next meeting will be on Friday. So if you're interested in what the data team does or getting involved, the invite will be posted in Slack in the data channel. Um, but uh, but this team, there's a lot that we can do with better use of data and technology, and we've got some very talented people on that team. Um,
I can say that Lindsay posted an update on our social media in terms of data in the social media channel. So if anybody's curious how many followers we have and all that, you can find those there.
All right, that was cool.
Okay, great. Thank you. Great that we have an update. Uh, so I guess this is kind of a summary of the last 2 months of fundraising, and I guess I'll pass it to Catherine. And Catherine, just let me know if you want me to open up any of those other spreadsheets that you had. But otherwise, we have some pretty big updates because, as you all know, the gala happened in mid-May. So this will reflect some of how that went.
Yeah, if you want to open them up since you're sharing them. You
Okay.
know, I don't know, like your thing in May, 140, yeah, I don't know. So the balance sheet shows that where we're at right now, we have like a total of $26,832. In our checking and our in our checking and savings. So, can you go to one of the other ones, like maybe the one with the, okay, go to the other one with the the gala. So I tried
Um,
to, oh, you know what? You may not have it on there because I sent it, you've got this one. Okay, I'll just show this one. There's another one that I sent to Andre, but I was doing it between 5 and 6 or after 6 or anyway. All right, so May was our gala and we had money coming in before that. We had a lot of expenses for the gala too before that. But on the gala spreadsheet, which I'll have to ask him to add to it, maybe he can add to it afterwards. The expenses are accurate, but the income I'm certain is not, because a lot of that I would have had to go in and individually pull out the gala ticket sales and such. So only some of them are calculated on there. A lot of the gala fundraiser stuff is like a big one, and once we switched to Square, it was on there. So I know the income is not. And I think that you can also see that on this, as you see compared to the other months, how much we had such a increase in the amount of donations, and a lot of that was gala related. But unfortunately, I'm just a volunteer, and I was not about there to go and sit there and try to pull out all of those individual ones and try to get it too. So that's just what you get with a volunteer. So, but you can see how we have grown quite a bit, or you could have until Andre moved it. So and it will be interesting to see what happens next month with our donations, if we are continuing to hold or not. So
Thank you, Catherine. So I think we'll be able to see that pretty well. You can see that I think what Catherine was kind of referring to, a lot of donations in April, but a lot of that may have been actually tickets and sponsorships for the gala. Um, and so a lot of the gala income is actually more from the night of and may not reflect all of the income that kind of happened indirectly because of it. So you kind of have to look at the totals together. But I did use the net income sheet that we were looking at earlier to show this is since November. And the lighter green line is income, and the darker blue line is expenses. So you can see generally we're outpacing our expenses and we're raising more money than we're spending. On some months, our expenses go up. And so when we're kind of at our regular rate of donations, we're in the relatively low couple $1,000s either in spending or donations. You can see that really starts to pick up in February, or really at the beginning of this year. We start raising more like 5,000 a month. Big jump in April, over 11,000, and then 26,000 in May. So this is including all of the donations as well as the income from the gala. So this is total across both, which is, it's hard to completely split out what was what, and we're still kind of working on how we might understand the gala in kind of one chunk. But you can see that when you make it all a collective view, we have had significant increases in our fundraising. This is huge growth for us. It still is, I think quite a bit short of where we need to be, but we have time to continue to build up our resources. This was the first fundraiser of sort of this level of ambition, so I think it was very, very successful. But our intention is to continue to improve our fundraising game. So we hope to see this graph continue in this direction, and that you'll be able to see some of what it buys, which right now, a lot of this income went towards the gala. A lot of this is going towards stabilizing our sort of basic operations. But if we can maintain this over time, we will see very, very tangible growth in a number of ways. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for all of the people who have been regular donors, everyone who helped plan the gala. And I do have a slide, yes, for the gala, so maybe I can move on to this. But what we're really here to report is that the gala was a huge success, in large part thanks to Amy Storm, who stepped in kind of midway through the planning process, but really filled in the role of a confident event planner who worked her network very, very hard to get us all sorts of auction prizes and special arrangements and other forms of support from the business community, the show business community, the art community. And so the night of the gala, we sold about 100 tickets. The room did technically seat more, but it was by no means, it felt like a full house. And there actually probably would have been logistical challenges seating significantly more than we had. The night of, we raised over $20,000, and some of the items were auctioned off for over $1,000, including the lunch with Senator Hasegawa, who, by the way, gave an amazing speech, an absolute barn burner. So really, really great to have finally done an event like this with Senator Hasegawa. We got some coverage in the Evergreen Echo, so we had Michael from the Echo joining us there for the evening, and then wrote this article, I think published just today or yesterday. And so this is by far our most successful fundraiser yet, but we hope that if we do another in about a year, that one, it will both be less stressful to plan, maybe stretched out over a longer period of time, a little bit slower and steadier, but ultimately even bigger. So really, really happy to report a huge success with the gala. I know that many people who worked on it, I'm sure, experienced at times some stress or feeling that it may not be successful, but ultimately it totally was. Thomas asking, can we post Hasegawa's speech? I hope it was recorded, but I cannot confirm that it was. And that is actually one of my biggest regrets of the evening was we didn't have a dedicated photographer and videographer, and we did run a post-mortem. So there's a lot of things that we will be able to improve. But we do have some great video and materials and stuff, and I'm sure we'll have photos as well. So hopefully you'll get to see some of that soon. Okay, I want to run through some of these other updates a bit faster because I'm hoping we have a little bit more room for discussion today. But there were days of action on May 31st. This was, sort of organized by a group called National Single Payer, but largely through local organizations. And Workers Strike Back really bottom-lined a lot of the organizing on this one, branding it the relaunch, the fight for Medicare for all. So I know we had a number of these events that we participated in. I personally spoke at the Seattle event at Westlake Center along with Thomas. And I can only speak for our event, but the rain was coming down pretty good, and the turnout was a little low, but I still think there was some really great energy there, and I was glad that we were out and present for this on a Saturday in this, the final weeks of May. And we should be able to post both me and Thomas's videos to YouTube very shortly. So you'll be able to see them. Hopefully those links will be shared in Slack and email and stuff. And I'm gonna mostly move on from here. Our continuing work with labor. We had a labor summit in Olympia. We were actually able to get a meeting afterwards with the president of the Washington State Labor Council, April Sims, and had, I think, a very productive conversation. And a lot of this work with labor is very much in motion and will continue to build. So if you are involved in labor, have connections in labor, are looking to develop more support in labor, now is really the absolute hottest time to do it. There are a lot of things going on, and it may be much easier than you might think to get a resolution on the table or something like that. And what we have right now is a resolution that expresses support for labor support for state-based universal health care in Washington. It stops short of specifically endorsing the Washington Health Trust, and part of the reason for that is we're really trying to focus on getting labor broadly on the same page and broadly behind the idea of taking action for this before committing to a specific implementation, so that labor feels that they are actually in a position to have input on what that legislation is. We really need this to be a broadly accepted pro-labor universal health care proposal, and there's a way that labor operates. And so we are trying our best to leave as much room for labor to feel included and as an active participant as possible. And one way you do that is you don't get out too far ahead of them. But we have two new labor councils that have voted their support towards this. So MLK Labor, which represents King County, and then Twin Harbors. And so not that it's a contest or anything, but I can say MLK is very, very influential, huge support there. And we need to continue to drive these resolutions, because what we are hoping to build towards is getting the Washington State Labor Council to pass this resolution by July. And the best way to see the resolution through will be to have many, many member unions and central labor councils who have already passed the resolution. So there may still be time. There may still be more of these resolutions coming in before July. But we are really preparing for a huge push on the Washington State Labor Council, because it's by no means guaranteed. This is absolutely a matter of a lot of lively discussion. And we certainly do hear, that every one of these votes has at least some opposition. But in broad strokes, they are getting through. So getting these endorsements, especially the State Labor Council, will dramatically change our position next year. And so they're very important. And then a few updates on the legislative and commission paths. So we are still working to get a joint committee work session. Our understanding is that the chairs have received this request and understand that it's important, but we're still working to send them a formal written request and to get co-signing organizations through healthcare as a human right on that. So that's something that we hope we'll be able to send off in the next week or two. The next Universal Healthcare Commission meeting is next Wednesday, I believe, June 11th. Is that next Wednesday? No, it's not next Wednesday. Maybe it is next Wednesday.
Oh,
It is next Wednesday.
It's not this Wednesday, next Wednesday.
It's
Yeah.
not this Wednesday, it's next Wednesday. So as always, this is an opportunity for public comment. Our understanding is that they'll be talking about governance. So there's lots of ways that we can relate our testimony to that. And you can get in touch with Rally or use the commission channel in Slack and let us know that you want to leave a public comment and we'll try to help coordinate with you. Then the commission is also organizing this kind of advocates roundtable on July 14th. And Whole Washington will definitely be present and participating. I'm not 100% clear on what that means for us in terms of like how many people and how exactly it's going to work. But be aware of it, and you'll probably be hearing about it again before it happens. But that is another opportunity for us to really make our case to the commission and kind of through the commission, the legislature. So some updates on stuff going on there. And we are still recruiting a Northwest region coordinator. So if you or somebody you know may be a good fit for that, please get in touch with me. We're still building out this regional team. Getting that last coordinator would help a lot. But to everyone out there who I'm still calling a coordinator of one of these other regions, thank you for bearing with me. I know that it may feel like a lot of time goes by and you don't necessarily hear clear direction on what you ought to be doing. This is just going to continue to take time to build out. So as much as you're still available for it, it's still my intention to work with you to build this out. So it may take some continuing of bearing with the process, but just as a reminder to everyone, building out these regional teams is going to be very critical to being able to succeed on the ballot. So even though it's there may be a lot of stop and go on this. There may be a lot of hurry up and wait, but please help us build these teams and work out this process because it's going to be critical for our success. So that will be a regular kind of update and reminder in these all hands meetings. We're also still recruiting to the board and to non-board positions. So volunteer coordinator, fundraising coordinator. We also have the ability for you to create your own position. And then we are actually recruiting a board treasurer. I don't remember if this got an update last month, but our treasurer, Greg, had some changes in his workplace in terms of just the amount of workload he was expected to take on. And basically, out of concerns for his capacity for the role, decided to step down from treasurer, which is unfortunate. Greg was incredibly effective in the relatively short amount of time we had him in that position. So it was very exciting to have him on the board. He did some great work for us. We're eternally grateful. But we are back into the position of recruiting for a board treasurer. So that's another area where if you're interested, please let me or somebody know and we can begin to move that forward. wholewashington.org/jobs has these applications just sitting there. So you're always welcome to take the initiative by submitting an application, or you can talk to somebody like me first, and I'll encourage you to submit an application. But the goal is to build a larger, more diverse board with more capacity, and many hands make light work. And so, you may feel that you don't have the experience, or you question that there's anything you can add. But the reality is, being there for it and being willing to help goes a really long way. So you are encouraged to step forward and take on a leadership position at Whole Washington. And we also continue to build towards a 501c3, and we do have a somewhat preliminary announcement on this, but I just thought it was actually not too early to let folks know that we have met multiple times with Sustainable Seattle, which is an organization that does fiscal sponsorship for a lot of organizations in Seattle. And really, after our first meeting, felt that this was something of an ideal partnership. And so at the time being, it looks like they are very, very likely to agree to be our fiscal sponsor, thus granting us their C3 status, which will allow us to do some really, really incredible things with regards to fundraising that we can't do right now, like employer matching programs, grants, and tax-deductible donations. And so there may be a very large role for sort of a C3 wing of Whole Washington to play. For now, it is still forming. But if you're interested, please reach out. We'll need people to run the C3 side of things. And so if you're out there and that sounds interesting to you, we can certainly start to add you to that team, which is slowly forming. So that's an update on Sustainable Seattle. And then this is my last update, I promise, but I did want folks to know about this. And you're probably getting a relatively early scoop on this, but it has been suggested in the past, what if Whole Washington were to run an initiative in Seattle? Could we make progress at the city level? What about the county level? And this is something that we've discussed strategically many times. We are aware of things that cities can do, including Healthy San Francisco, which is a program that we've built our statewide model off of, but also a really powerful program in New York called New York Health and Hospitals, which provides a lot of subsidized health care through a public hospital system. So the short version is there are things that cities can do. We have not, to this point, taken it on ourselves to develop a citywide policy and run a citywide initiative campaign in any city, including Seattle. We've been very focused on the state level, which is a huge lift. And one advantage of going at the city level is that you need considerably fewer signatures, like maybe close to 1/10 of the signatures. So instead of 400,000, you're talking less than 40,000 for Seattle. But all of this has been kind of intellectual discussion, and that's something that may be changing soon because Workers Strike Back, which is a democratically governed, grassroots, action-oriented organization with special consideration of labor issues, although I don't know if there are direct ties to labor within Workers Strike Back. But really what a lot of people would know Workers Strike Back as is former Seattle City Council member Shama Sawant's post-City Council project. And so this organization was founded shortly after she stepped down from the City Council, or rather finished her last term. And they have been out there doing various things, but they have recently voted, as in I think just yesterday, that they will be moving forward with a City of Seattle healthcare initiative campaign. And so we have not decided exactly what Whole Washington's connection and involvement in that will be. Part of what we would need to do that is to actually see what the proposal is and discuss the strategy. Right now, our understanding is that they are targeting the 2026 ballot. So this summer, you may see them organizing, and next year you may see them actually collecting signatures. So how Whole Washington is involved, that's something that remains to be seen. But I thought that you're all here because you care about what's going on in the universal healthcare movement. And this is something that is happening, and we will keep you updated as details develop. So with that, I think I got through a little faster than last month. So I want to turn off the recording now